All right. Are we live here? Oh, Ron, there's Ron.
I don't know what was going on. We were having some technical difficulties there.
That's okay. Well, regardless, friends, it is Friday night. And here you are on the 12th night of the 12th month of 2025, enjoying yet another fantastic edition of Friday Night Live here with the Page crew. My name is Phil, Director of Operations for the convention, and with me, like always, is Ron, Ed, and Jen. How is everyone this evening?
Wonderful. Exhausted, but glad it's Friday.
Long week, but doing all right. Excited to be here and excited for our guest.
Yeah, I spent my week in Washington working, so I'm very happy to be home.
Well, no better way to start your weekend than hanging out with us, everyone out there in internet land, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, or perhaps maybe even Twitch. We are broadcasting to all of those platforms currently right now, and please, if you got a question, we've got the chat open. Participate in chat, hop on in there, have a good time, ask us questions. We have a very special guest this evening that we have been itching to talk with. And Ron, I think it's time we perhaps maybe just get to it and bring her on. It's Kelsey Dionne!
Hi!
Hello.
How's it going?
Yeah, great. How's it going with you?
Pretty solid. It's already dark because it's like what? It gets dark so fast now. I'm not used to it. Well, but I'm in Pacific time and it's still like but the days are just gone. You
did write a game about playing in darkness, right?
Admittedly, I did. So that I'm not allowed to complain about darkness then.
Hopefully, you've got your torches. Yeah, I remember living in Seattle and seeing it getting dark around like 3 or 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, and I mean this happens everywhere, but I'm just like because I'm out west, I'm used to doing things at night, and it's still like the middle of the afternoon for me. But now it's just darkness across the land. So
exactly, yeah. Well, you could live in northern Alaska where it's dark for an entire 30 days before, So
that sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, thanks you guys for having me on.
Yeah. Ron just popped off again, so
I scared him off.
Yeah,
he's having some issues with his camera, I think.
It's that janky New Jersey internet. Yeah.
It's the Jersey Devil gnawing on those cables again.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, or the alien drones, disrupting your Wi-Fi signals.
Yes.
Remember those? Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I do. Was that last year? Apparently there were some sort of mysterious drones flying over New Jersey.
Yeah, that was recent. I don't remember. It was quite recent enough,
Of all the places, and you live in Nevada, so
yeah,
Area 51 is just north, right?
We're supposed to be the UFO capital of the United States, but nothing fun ever happens here in that regard.
Are you old enough to remember the old WB series Roswell, the original one?
I don't, sadly, although it might have been on.
It was based on this series of teen novels, but I had a friend who grew up very close to Roswell, and she was always really mad because it didn't look at all like what Roswell looked like. And I was like, really? That's the thing you're latching onto there?
They didn't recreate it.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I remember the show. I never got into it, but the name sounds really familiar.
Yeah, I remember the show too. Again, but like you, Jen, I don't think I ever watched it. But
it made no impression.
Yeah, nonetheless, yeah. So, Kelsey, we've brought you on this evening to chat a little bit about a number of things, and so why don't we? I guess we should probably do it. If there's someone out there in the crowd that does not know you or what your work is and what the Arcane Library is all about, what would you answer to that question?
Yeah, so I run a company called the Arcane Library that started off publishing 5e adventures, And then I released a game called Shadowdark a couple of years ago that's sort of a modernized old school D&D like game. And it did shockingly well. I would never have guessed that it would be so well received. And I've been able to kind of focus all of my writing and publishing efforts on that game since then. And I now get to go around to really cool conventions and run events for it and see people running and playing the game. And it's kind of a dream job, honestly.
I can only imagine.
One of the craziest things about Shadowdark for me was, weirdly enough, both how familiar and easy it was to get into, but also how unique it felt. I mean, one of the things that when I worked at TSR and Wizards of the Coast is there was always this assumption that everybody knew how to play D&D, and that's where the whole idea of the D20 license and everything came from. But there was also kind of this worry that things would always start to feel the same. One of the things I found so great about Shadowdark, the first time I actually got to play Shadowdark was at last year's Page, and I played it several times since, is I love the fact that it seems so easy to play, to get into, because you feel like the rules are so intuitive, but it still feels like so much its own thing. Do you have anything to account for that? I mean, it's obviously that you designed it, I think, with that sort of thing in mind, the uniqueness blended with the familiarity.
Yeah. Well, I have to thank a lot of progress in the overall game design space at large, because, there's a really strong community of game designers who are sort of peers of each other, who are always making games and sharing ideas. And I've been a part of that group for years. So I think that there are these little incremental, like, quality of life innovations that have sort of bubbled up and become widely accepted in the game design space, especially the indie game design space. And so when I was working on Shadowdark, it kind of had this dual goal of, paying respect to its D&D roots, but not treating anything as a sacred cow. And I think we were able to kind of push the game towards quality of life refinements enough that it did come out feeling pretty different, but still familiar. So that was a hard tightrope to walk. And I'm so glad that it came out that way to you, Ed, because that's exactly what we were going for,
One of the things I noticed from, like, my perspective as a blind player is how easy it is, because you're not relying on skills. There's really, there's no skills to overwhelm you. It's just the stats. And I love that. It's so easy to play. And the luck tokens are great.
Good. Well, I'm so glad to hear that, Jen. And I'm like a huge theater of the mind player. So I wanted the game to be sort of easily run without needing anything besides your imagination. And that was really important to me. So I think keeping the stats simple and the character sheet options simple was a huge factor in that.
Another thing I really enjoy about the game, I mean, this is going to be, get ready, this is going to be kind of a Kelsey love fest, I think, on the show.
No.
Fans of Shadowdark.
You got to throw me some hard ones, Ed. No.
One of the things I like about the Arcane Library, too, is the fact that, we've got this really nice Shadowdark book, which you chose not to go with your typical large gaming book format. And I think that really actually helps with your theater of the mind approach and such like that. But I really like these small releases, the smaller, digests that come out, because they remind me of the way I used to get original, like, D&D supplements, when I get things from Judges Guild, get things from different companies that were just, somebody would have an idea, they would write something, and the idea would go as long as it needed to. Yeah. And then it'd be done. And it was really great to get stuff in digestible formats. I used to love getting old Dragon magazines and just be like, oh, I'm going to use this article. And I would actually cut them out and, like, sort of rebind them. So I'd be like, oh, here's my anti-paladin book. Here's my, book with the nine hells, something like that. And,
yeah. That's like a lost art form now, making your own collection of, like, actual media, physical stuff.
My dad did book binding as a hobby, which is just a weird thing, but yeah, he would bind my Dragon magazines for me and stuff like that. But I just really like the digest, because it's really approachable. Those were, I think, I skimmed the original book, but then I actually read through all of the little digests and then went back.
Good. Thank you. I love that format too. I really do. I think it's so approachable. And, you know, I'm kind of like easily overwhelmed by content type person. So I was like, I have to split things up into smaller sort of themed pieces, you know, for my own benefit.
Yeah, I think it works better in smaller pieces. We used zines 1 and 3 when we did our campaign, and it worked out beautifully.
Oh, good. Oh, I love those. It's, man, there's 3 more in the works, and everybody's like, what's your favorite? And it's like asking your favorite pet or your favorite child. There's like, it's hard to choose. It couldn't choose. So
yeah. You know, I find it interesting, following up on what Ed and Jen just said there, was I think, you know, before your book came out in the digest size, I feel a lot of maybe casual RPG players that were mostly existing in the 5e sphere, or Pathfinder, what have you, are just used to the traditional size books, right? And then this book comes out and people sort of scratch their head and say, wow, this is really interesting, and it's compact and it's just one book. And now it's supported with zines. And I feel like the zine culture has been there always. It's been there for a long time. And now you got a new audience exposed to not only the digest size, but also the culture that surrounds DIY OSR zines, that it's so prolific if you do a little digging on itch.io or something like that, where there's just so many cool things being produced in that format that people, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen, to Brad Yochai every week on their podcast, and they do deep dives on OSR stuff. But I feel like if you go to a lot of cons, I go to a lot of cons, I see people just sinking their teeth into things that they didn't even know existed. And I feel like to some degree, you have had a hand in that opening the door, if you will, for RPG folks to experience a whole nother level of the hobby that they didn't even know was there, even though it's been there for a long time.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's so nice of you to say, Phil, because I hope that's the case. I kind of joke all the time that I don't know one gamer who only has one game on their shelf. So it's kind of just a matter of, coaxing people into going outside their gaming comfort zone, because I think that's something we see with a lot of 5e players, where because the D&D brand is so ubiquitous, they kind of think it's either that or Pathfinder. Like those are the two options that they might be aware of. And, both delightful games, but it's really eye-opening to see that there are so many other takes on gaming that you might not have ever been exposed to. And I think part of the goal of Shadowdark is to be the entryway into the indie space for a lot of especially 5e players who just have never seen anything else before. If you can just get them to try something different, they suddenly realize there's this whole other world, and then they're buying Cairn and OSE and Dolmenwood and Mothership, and like it's like this incredible explosion of cool stuff for them then once they see what's there.
Right. Yeah. You don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I was the same way. I tried D&D first, and then someone approached me to play Conan, and I'm like, I don't know Conan. I don't know anything about Conan. But it was just the world, and it was fun. And that opened the door to Star Wars and a whole other universe. So just got to you can't be afraid to try new things.
It's so true. And you wonder why there's some folks that they're like, oh, I just don't want to invest the time in learning a new system. And I'm like, hey, if you're already playing 5e, you already chose one of the most complicated. Anything you learn is going to be easier than 5e.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ed. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I worked on 2nd edition, and I was creative director for 3rd and 3.5, which were definitely the math versions of the game. And one of the things I like about Shadowdark is something I also like about 5e, is that I thought you did a lot of combing through all the various editions, a lot of other games and everything, and of course your own creativity to come up with something that is very approachable. I think Jen said it earlier, where it feels like it's only got the rules that you need. And knowing that you're a theater of the mind player, that makes a lot of sense too, because when I was playing the game, I'm one of those troublesome players who always wants to try and do something weird or unique or whatever. And now, granted, you need to have a decent DM for this, but I must have, because every time I would try something strange, they were very confident in how they would be able to approach it, and it all felt like it was coming right from the Shadowdark rules, which granted allow for a lot of latitude, but there's just enough of a framework there to support it. So the DM doesn't feel like they're out on a limb, and you don't feel like you need to hunt through the rule set, because you're like, no, I know where this is going. I go with that. Hey, we were just talking about new stuff and everything. And I know that you have, because I'm one of the backers, a new Kickstarter out. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say too, Ed, I keep meaning to say this, but 3rd edition was the system that I played the most in my youth, and it was extremely foundational to my perception of D&D. So I have to thank you so much for all of the work you put into it. It was so great. It saved D&D. Yeah. Well, and to answer your question too, I have a Kickstarter out right now for a sort of world setting for Shadowdark. Because the game itself has a very light touch as far as world lore goes. It's like there's implicit world lore in the core rules, but I wanted it to be very flexible, so that people could use Shadowdark to run various different, whatever you want. If you want to run Planescape in Shadowdark, you probably could get away with it. But this Kickstarter is the Western Reaches is sort of our huge points of light, hex crawl oriented setting that combines basically all of my writing over the last 7 or so years in world building into a more coherent setting. Yeah, so it's been crazy to try to get that thing out the door.
Yeah, I think
great. I posted a link in our Facebook thing, and when Ron ever gets back on here, I think he's going to manage to post one to chat as well, but he's having some definite technical difficulties.
Yeah,
I think the PDFs I think have mostly been put out. I know Curse Scroll 4 and 6, I believe, have been deployed, and you're feverishly working on 5, I'm sure.
yes.
But I know at PAX Unplugged, I got to run part of 4. Was it the Basilisk Temple?
Ooh, yeah,
I think it was. And
that sounds right.
With the talkative skeleton in the one room.
Yeah.
I ran a 4-hour session for that, and the maps are always just so easy. I think I mentioned this earlier to you at some point, where my kids at school, I teach high school, and I run a club, and we were doing the 5e thing, and then I just pulled the plug on it, and I threw Shadowdark at them. I just gave them the quick start, gave them the quick start players, quick start GM guide, and let them have it. And the kids are so comfortable running it that my GMs don't even prep.
Perfect.
They don't prep at all. They come in and they go, Mr. What are we running today? And I literally give them, actually we're doing Devoured Labyrinth right now.
Oh.
And yes, and it's so good. But they are so confident in their skills to be able to describe everything, as long as they've got the map and everyone's got a character sheet, they're good. And so the ease of that has brought some players back that left, that were getting bogged down with 5e. And I told them to give it another shot, and they came in and they're like, this is what I want. Turns were taking too long, and I was getting a little bored, and this is what I want out of my sessions. The one downside, it's a very small downside though, is that the sessions get louder. Because they're so into it. They're like,
I love it. That's a perfect downside right there. You're like, come on, we gotta rein it in.
Yeah.
That's so great to hear. That's music to my ears, because it's and I know we've talked about this before, actually. I think at last page we might have even, but But it was, yeah, it's just crazy to think that, you know, if I somehow saved one gamer from leaving the role-playing game space, like I'm so thankful for that, because it can be such a wonderful lifelong thing, you know, if you stick with it. Like, most of my friends are from the gaming space, and everything I care about is somehow adjacent to it. So I'm glad that your students that you were able to bring them back a little bit.
Right. Yeah. No.
Kelsey, Ron just put the books up there for a second, and they're, you know, if anybody weirdly isn't on here and hasn't seen them, they're so beautiful. Who did your art and your layout and everything?
Yeah, well, so all of the art, we had a team of various artists who did the interiors. The cover is by this artist named Lucas Court, who was known for being a death metal artist. he had never done anything in the gaming
surprised.
space. Right. And you can see Phil's wearing his most iconic piece from the book, actually, which is that's Beholder, but there is only one Beholder in the Shadowdark game world, and he's this being called the 10-Eyed Oracle. So Lucas made that piece of art well before I started writing Shadowdark, and I knew I was going to use it for a really big project that I was still formulating. And it's really that was such an important piece for kind of bringing me into the vibe that I wanted. It's funny because if you look close at it, even the central eye of that Beholder is the Arcane Library logo, but it's very subtle, and it's sort of also baked into the game lore.
Now I have to look.
So it goes a little tinfoil hat once you notice it, and then you realize it's actually talked about very subtly in some supplements and stuff. So it's kind of a fun thing. So he was the main artist, and then we had tons of just other phenomenal contributors. A Portuguese artist named Yuri Perkowski Domingos, who did like more than 50 pieces for the book. We had Matt Morrow, who's this fantastic artist that I'm still working with to this day. There's so many people. Gosh, I have to think of who they all were, but I did the layout for the book. So I did all the writing and layout. And
I thought you did the layout. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I did.
I have done very primitive layout. I suck at doing layout. I'm terrible at it. So thank God I never had to do it professionally. But I was really impressed again, because when you're doing stuff with smaller sizes, the first books I worked on were large books but had 3-column format, which was a nightmare.
Yeah.
And so I was impressed with how spacious your book layout looks. I mean, that means a lot to somebody older like me, you know, who recently started wearing glasses.
I'm almost there too. I'm like, I need to be able to read my book.
You're reading the book and it feels comfortable. Just, I'm a big gamer nerd, so I'm the guy who's going to groove on really great layout and stuff. I don't know if anybody else cares, but you know,
Thank you for asking. It's funny. The story behind the layout is it's a little crazy. I had never actually, before Shadowdark, I had never used InDesign before. I had only laid things out literally in word processors. And I was like, you know what, this project it's going to be in print. In order to do well in print, you really have to try to use the best tools you have available, because I had mostly only been publishing digitally up to that point. So I took this course, this like 40-hour InDesign course, but I did it over an entire weekend, or like a 3-day like long weekend. And that's how I learned how to use InDesign. So it kind of kills me when people think that I know a lot of what I'm doing, because I'm like, I know enough of the basics to do a proficient layout, but I don't have any special magic, and I learned how to do it over a weekend. So you can do, if I could do it, anyone could learn how to do layouts. So
that is awesome.
Wow.
And I'm not special or smart. I'm not a quick study. So you just have to learn the basics.
So that's not true. Maybe you're not special and smart in layout, but I think we all know you're pretty special and smart. One of the things, we did get a question from the audience. It's kind of a fairly general one, but it's a good one. How did gaming come into your life? That's from Michael in chat.
Oh yeah. Happy to answer. I was very fortunate to grow up in southern Wisconsin in the late 80s and early in the 90s. And so TSR still existed for a while. And they were like in my backyard, basically. So I was kind of surrounded by gaming culture because of that. And also, my mom is now a retired high school English teacher, and she really cared about what her children were reading and what we liked. So she saw that I gravitated towards fiction, fantasy fiction, and sword and sorcery type stuff, and she extrapolated that I might like this game that was more widely known in southern Wisconsin than perhaps elsewhere. So she borrowed a friend's box set from their kids so I could look at it, and that got me hooked right there. I fell in love with it. I had no idea how to play or what it was, but I was like, this is amazing. So since then, I've been playing and got to join in some really excellent groups of gamers at local game stores in sort of the Madison area, which is a really robust gaming culture. And that's really how I got into it. And I was so kindly welcomed by everybody, including Gary Gygax. I got to meet him, and he was running games for my Dungeon Master every week. And he was super kind and encouraging to me, actually. And he was like, oh, I heard you want to be a game master. He's Dungeon Master. He's like, I heard you want to be a Dungeon Master someday. And I was like, yes. I was like this 12-year-old girl. Yes, I'd love to. And he kind of had like friendly grandpa encouragement vibes. And he was very kind to me about it and was really like, yeah, you got to do it. You got to be hard on your players. Don't go easy on them,
Well, we can see that with Shadowdark. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
So we have Tommy Bravo in chat here. He wants to thank Kelsey for getting him back into the TTRPG scene after a long absence. Shadowdark got me back with my friends playing. So that's really great.
Yeah.
Brian Keena from Southern New Jersey asks, or he says and asks, I'm looking forward to the new premium core book. Any spoilers for the cover art?
Oh yeah, we might have a preview out now of it on the Kickstarter, but my wife drew this Nordic dragon border. It's like interwoven dragons, and she drew the whole thing by hand and made this like really amazing looking border for the cover. And I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. So that's the cover for the premium edition. It's going to be on black leatherette and then gold, stamped foil of this Nordic dragon motif, which I think is gorgeous. And so I'm excited for it.
Tommy Bravo asks, how much did the OGL crisis influence launching Shadowdark? And if the OGL crisis never happened, would Shadowdark be what it is today? That's very much a wrestling smark type of question that a wrestling smark would ask ask a professional wrestler. But go ahead, Kelsey, give it an answer.
I wish I was a good enough professional wrestler to know what to say. No, I think that, the OGL crisis definitely almost torpedoed the whole project because it happened 2 weeks before I was supposed to go to Kickstarter, and I had written the game using the OGL. So it was a very frantic and sleepless 2 weeks. I rewrote the entire draft of the book in 5 days. I literally only slept like 9 hours total. And I was able to remove all OGL related material. So we thought, because there was no precedent or understanding of what was about to happen. Like nobody knew what was okay to do and what wasn't. And I strongly considered bumping back the launch date of the book, honestly, because of this. But something kind of told me that I should just try to push through I should just try to carry on. And I think that ultimately, a lot of things happen in a short time frame, but one thing the OGL crisis did was, I think, give some spikes in attention to indie creators, especially those who were very impacted by it. And I was one of those people. And so I think it was a little bit of like unforeseen free marketing for the game that certainly helped us. It certainly did. And I'm glad that we still were able to basically go to Kickstarter on time, and I had enough of a window where I could get things, put back together enough that we could still go to Kickstarter. And we were one of the first people out the gate after the OGL crisis. So I have no doubt that it helped us, but I also can see the metrics behind where most of our pledges came from. And it was mostly from my newsletter. So I don't know how big of an impact. I had some, but I don't know, in hindsight, I think that the project still would have done well based on that information. But I wouldn't have been able to guess that would happen still. I was very cautious in my assumptions about how it would do, and my audience just ended up being very receptive,
I'll tell you, I think it's very interesting how many games are coming out now, or have already come out, that are actually based on Shadowdark. Sort of like second generation, dark universe.
Yeah.
Have you kept up with any of those? I mean, I know the answer to at least some of this, but I was just wondering if there are any that you had kept up with in particular.
Oh, absolutely. I'm fascinated by it. I think, there was just recently Dark Space, which is the creators of Dark Space were at Page last year playtesting what would become their final draft of the game, and I got to see them in person doing that, and it was so cool. And that's like a futuristic, like space opera style take on Shadowdark, which its Kickstarter closed, I think, yesterday or the day before.
Yeah.
And they did 95,000 in funding. I was like, whoa, they did so well. So that was it was so cool to get to talk to the creators when the game was just an idea and like an actual binder of notes that they were bringing around to various cons, and then see it become real, and then see their Kickstarter happen and such a wonderful reception from the Shadowdark community, and see the whole thing happen from the outside. It was just so cool. It's kind of crazy.
Well, and their Kickstarter stretch goals, they met it high enough to get your alien in there.
I get to design a legendary monster with them for it. We've already got it pretty much done, and it's just so cool. I was so honored. I'm like, I can't believe I get to be a top stretch goal like this. It's truly mind-blowing. Yeah.
Well, it's real. We think the world of Derek, especially.
Yes.
Who, a lot of us go way back with. So we're very happy that, that's been a success. Agile Monk 6305, who's apparently been living under a rock, says, I didn't realize Kelsey was going to be a special guest at Page, so I'm glad I checked out the channel tonight.
Yay! Agile Monk, I know you because I see you on YouTube, so I see you in comments and stuff, so I'm glad that you're here. Yeah.
So
we practically took out a TV ad to promote that you were going to be on here, though. Well, we were very excited.
I am too.
Since we are talking also about Page, I know we've got you doing a whole bunch of really interesting Shadowdark events at Page. Could you just talk a little bit about some of the stuff you're going to be doing?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely going to be running Shadowdark games, and I don't want to spoil anything. I don't know how much you guys have shared, but we have a plot. I'll just say that we've all been in cahoots about something for running Shadowdark, which is so cool. I've never seen something like it. I'm gonna be so blown away, and I get to run stuff for that. And then
we can talk about that a little bit. I mean,
it's in the event book.
So. Yeah, I mean, if you don't know, under the next rock, we have a convention-long Shadowdark event that's going to run, and it's a giant dungeon crawl called Down the Dark Stairway. And people can jump in and out on the hour. They can play all day, or they can play for an hour or two. And it's looking like a lot of people are going to be spending their weekend just going through that gigantic dungeon. And Kelsey is going to be GMing at various points throughout the weekend, which we're not going to announce in advance because we don't want rushes on those time frames. So you just kind of got to keep your eye on things at the convention and figure out when Kelsey's going to be there. But not only Kelsey, we're going to have Professor Dungeon Master. We're going to have Baron DeRop. Jeez, help me out, Phil. Who else?
Mike Shea will be hitting some sessions. We said Justin Alexander. Stephen Glicker will be hitting a couple of sessions.
We're chaining him to a table.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stephen, yes. Who else? Ronan Wong, I believe, is helping out. Wes Allen.
Mike Neistel.
Yeah.
Did you mention Stefan at all?
Well, Stefan's not doing anything with it.
Yeah.
He's not.
I have it here. DJ Johnson, James Jackson, John Harford, Ronan, Ignatius Umlaut, and we named all the other folks. So,
speaking of Shadowdark spin-off games, John Harford has Shadow West that he's come out with, which is kind of like a dark Western game, based on the rule set. And another guy I'm personally very, very happy for. I've known John 35 years. Wow, and he's now finally branching out and putting his own games out there and doing some things after so many years of serving as like a demonstration guy for other companies. And he's such a creative person, and he's teamed up with artist Lisa Ann Lake on that project, and it looks very, very promising.
Cool. Yes.
While I'm very excited about playing Shadowdark at the convention, I'm actually kind of excited about a couple of the seminars that you're going to be on. Do you remember a few of those? I think our audience is very excited about them.
We're doing State of the OSR which I think Luke Stratton is going to be kind of emceeing or running, which he is such a great MC for these kinds of things and participants. So that's going to be really cool. And I know I'm doing another, actually, I think I might even have it. I think we have like a how to create a successful Kickstarter.
Yep.
One.
Yep. That's when you're on. Yeah. Thank you very much for agreeing to be on that. But,
of course. I mean, if I can give some insight, I would love to. I think I've managed to pull it off twice. So I might know one or two things, but I don't know. We'll see. And another event too. So I'm doing those two seminars, and then I'm running a special event that I've actually only done a few times in very limited settings, and so that I'm super pumped to be running essentially a Shadowdark themed Bronstein, essentially, which is like a group live action role playing thing, and it's based on one of the early games that led to the development of Dungeons and Dragons in its first iteration. So Baron DeRop is co-GMing this with me, and it's like a political intrigue game, and it's set in the Western Reaches, which is the setting that I just was working on for Kickstarter. And it's about like this whole succession to the throne of the biggest city in the Western Reaches. So it's like who will be king, and I'm so excited to run it. I've run it now like probably 6 or 7 times, and it's just so fun.
Well, big thanks to you and Baron for running it, because that's one of our charity events. So and that's sold out very quickly, and of course all that goes to help Paige's charities.
Good. Yes. Oh, I'm so glad that it's already sold out and everything. So
it's sold out in mere minutes.
Oh, Well, that is crazy. I'm so glad. I'm really looking forward to it. I've had just a ton of fun running it in the past, and so I think everyone who participates, it's going to be like a different, maybe something they've never experienced before.
We've just got to keep you healthy at Paige this year.
I got sick last year.
You were so nice and at the cheesesteak opening dinner, and so great to talk to you and everything. And then I was horrified to hear that you got stuck in your room being sick because you were sick all the rest.
It hit me like in the middle of the night that night. I was just, and you know what it was too. I don't think that's likely. I hope it's not likely this year, because right before Paige happened, my father-in-law got mortally ill. And we flew out to the East Coast, and we were there for 2 weeks. And I was in a hospital for 2 weeks while he was miraculously, thank God, recovering. But we didn't know if he was going to make it at first. And I was so run down and beat up and exhausted when I got to Paige that it's like no wonder that I fell sick. But no one's gonna start dying this year. So
we have a question here. Why do you think Shadowdark, Pirate Borg, and other quote hard-on player games are popular now?
Oh, my opinion on this? I mean, I'm curious what you guys might think too, but you know, I sometimes think that hard on the player is a little bit of a what's the right word for it?
Misnomer?
Yeah, misnomer. It's something that, you know, like Luke Stratton, who created Pirate Borg, we as the game developers sort of relish fostering this sort of mystique or myth around the game that it's super hard and mean on the players, but it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek because actually if you play smartly, you have a much higher chance of not dying because the game rules support smart play rather than leaning on, you know, dice to resolve all of the things that you have to do, which are you can't control. So I think it's a little bit of a like hazing thing that like once you're in the in group, you realize that it's not quite true, but the idea of it is sort of fun to foster. And so maybe that's part of it. Maybe people appreciate getting to be a little bit in the club of like, well, it's a hard game, but I survive it. So I'm cool.
my dwarf in our home Shadowdark campaign, he continues to live despite every attempt I make to have him killed. You know, everything's a human problem in his eyes, and everything can be solved with his short sword. So he just, when in doubt, charge. That's his thing, and it goes well with his 5 wisdom. So did you know that you saved somebody's life, Kelsey?
Like what? Really though? Like the sport, my hospital died twice.
You brought him back twice, not once, but twice.
Well, you passed your 3rd death save. Oh my god! Whoa! Wow! Died twice. That's wild. I'm absolutely.
That you brought him back to life.
Was it me? Was the doctor like hitting your chest with a Shadowdark book or something?
Yeah,
That was crass. No, but wow, really, that's
boy. That was quite rough for there, Kelsey.
I know.
That was very tough. That was a tough comment there.
That was a harsh visual. It might be too soon. I'm sorry, Agile Monk. I'm not, and I'm, in all seriousness, I am not making light of such a severe situation. I'm just like, wow, I'm glad you had. I'm glad Shadowdark was something that
here's a picture of Shadow Monk today. He still has 7 of his lives left.
Yeah, still got plenty.
There he is, right there.
That's wild. Yeah, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you had Shadowdark to read. I think those kinds of things can really help get you through a tough recovery, like having something in the genres you like that you can sort of dive into and take your mind off things. That's, man, I'm so glad you made it. Jeez, it's scary.
Yeah. Just like Michael in chat says, you're being hard on the player.
Well, I think that's part of the fun too, right? Because if if there's no danger, then the game's not fun. You need to have stakes.
Yeah. For sure. And that's true. You really need to feel like there is genuine danger. And even the culture of Shadowdark is around fostering that sort of meta feeling of danger, you know? Yeah.
Well, I think also you touched on something with the sort of straightforwardness of the rules and the fact that the players have to use their own creativity. I honestly think, having played, games for decades, that there's always what I think of as sort of a counterculture element to whatever is going on. Like one of the things that D&D has done with 5th edition, and they did it some with 4th, and we certainly did it some with 3rd, was sort of what I call expanding the heroic factor of the rules. The idea that you have, as a player, you have so many more tools than you did when you started out. Like in 1st edition and basic D&D, unless you were a wizard or a cleric, you basically had 1 or 2 things you could do that were supported by the rules, shoot your bow, swing your sword, something like that. And even the wizard and the cleric at low levels, very few spells. So you didn't spend a lot of time poring over your sheet looking for that one thing that was going to save your life or whatever. You just had to get creative. And after first edition came out, other games started coming out like Champions or even Traveler or other things that expanded that litany of things, options the player had. And I think that now 5th edition is the game where you have a character sheet that takes multiple pages to print out, and you've got all these abilities, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's what people want. But Shadowdark and other games like Pirate Borg or whatever are sort of the counter to that, saying, no, we're going to give you a basic set of rules, and you have to use your own creativity. So it's nice that we balance either end of the spectrum, because one of the things we used to say at TSR was we were never afraid of the next big game. What we were afraid of was people stopping playing games altogether. Because if they're off playing Champions or Traveler or Middle Earth or heck, even hobby card games or something like that little Magic thing that came out, it kept them in the hobby.
Yes.
What we don't want is for anybody to leave the hobby, because then it's harder to get them back.
Yeah.
We have several other comments here. Ron, thank you for featuring Kelsey. She's a very special person to me in this hobby. Agile Monk, I will take full credit for everything related to Kelsey and Paige. I'll accept that. Jen Glazer asks, will you have a booth at Paige?
Hey, Jen! Oh my gosh, it's so good to hear from you. We will this year. Yeah, I'm bringing Michael, my sort of we jokingly call him the assistant librarian, but I feel like that belittles his importance because he does a lot to help the company, and he's sort of like the only, like, besides me and my wife, the other person working in the business, and he's going to be running our little booth at Paige, so it'll be fun. Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see what else we have here. Oh,
and Agile Monk, by the way, if you want to quote this, you can screen grab this, but I think because of your immense destiny, coming back from death twice, I feel like you should be allowed to start every Shadowdark game with a luck token. So says I. That's the rule. That it is.
Here.
Okay, let's see what else we have. Somebody, Michael in chat says, with all the success, have you had a pinch me moment yet?
Oh, so many. I still kind of can't believe it. Like, you kind of sometimes wonder, you're like, why was I the lucky one that this got to happen to? Because I think everyone's dream is to get to write a game or something in the industry that they love and have it be so successful that it can really become their career. And I really think a lot about, what were the factors that somehow made this all come together? It was probably the cuteness of my dog that made it happen. That just ran on screen.
Did you say cuteness of a dog?
Yeah, I did. Let's see if
Did you mention cuteness of a dog?
I did. It was the cuteness of the dog.
Because Pickles is still banned.
Oh no!
Ladies and gentlemen, Pickles is still banned. Stop emailing me about Pickles. Pickles is a serial pooper and is not allowed at Paige.
Pickles, you need to keep that contained while you're indoors at a con,
Yes. And
just
occasionally Jen gets out of hand too, and we have to keep her contained.
Oh,
Jen. Oh no, they're all going to be watching you.
Yeah, I know. He kids all the time. I don't want to disappoint you, Ron.
This year is going to be a calm year.
Well, I'll tell you, all this talk of pets and everything, looking right over my laptop at my laundry basket, got one of my little cats sitting there like a human in a hot tub.
Just in the basket.
In the
his
warm
fur's
laundry
like poking out of the side. He's so comfortable. He's just like, yeah.
When I pull my laundry out of the dryer, she meets me downstairs and wants to be carried up in the warm laundry. So she's been there ever since.
I mean, I'm with her. I'm always cold.
Yeah, warm laundry. It's pretty appealing, you know. If they could make a human-sized like kiddie pool of warm laundry, I would totally lay in it.
There you go. Well, you're an adult. You can do that.
Yeah, I could probably arrange that myself if I was really determined, you know.
Right.
Now, it depends a little bit on whether you or your wife did the laundry about how upset anybody gets, but
Yeah, like, is it cool if I'm just gonna lay in all of this and get it really dirty because I'm just laying in clean laundry? Yep.
Now, just to confirm, just so for everybody out there, before my internet takes a dump again, because there's something going on over here in the middle of rural southern New Jersey. Kelsey agrees that the dog needs to keep it contained. So Kelsey has endorsed pickles banning, just so we're all on the same page. And I have to tell you, the question about the pinch me moment, we were going to have instead of an autograph signing, we were going to have a Kelsey pinching moment, but our lawyers told us not to do that. So you're safe. You can mark yourself safe from being pinched by page attendees.
Oh, good. Oh, I don't have to take a bunch of Tylenol that day then. Good.
No. So,
although we already have
Monk says
where people get pinched in another way.
There's multiple pinching varieties.
Yeah.
The stealing pinching is the kind that's especially bad.
Well, we don't have those problems at Page.
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Agile Monk says he stands with Jennifer, and Tommy Bravo says, "But just don't stand behind pickles."
Michael in chat though comes back with, "Do you have a 5-year plan for Shadowdark?"
Oh, well, it's nothing. I think it's nothing too complicated. I think we want to see it have more presence internationally, which we're working on. I think that we have international folks who are kind of eager to get their hands on it, and so we decided to build our own international fulfillment process in-house, which I'm really excited about because it's hard to do, but it's cool because if you manage to pull it off, then you have this very sturdy way of getting things around the world that's not reliant on anybody else except you. And then, you know, I could potentially use that to help other people, other creators, other third-party Shadowdark folks, peers of mine in the industry to get better international reach with a little bit more control. So we're excited for that. And we really want to support Shadow League, which is our, organized play and community play program that we're going to be spinning up, honestly, in a few months, step by step. So I was just talking to Ron, and I think by next Page, it's going to be in full swing. And so we'll really have a lot of cool stuff that we can do where we're offering prizes to people running games at conventions or publicly for people in libraries or clubs or game stores. And we're just going to also be helping people who want to organize really high quality, cool games. Maybe we can get them supporting materials and stuff to make their games really special, especially at conventions. So that's what we're hoping to do with Shadow League.
Can you tell us a little bit more about Shadow League and either like how it may stand out among various organized play?
Yeah, well, we wanted to keep it pretty simple. I know organized play comes in a lot of varieties. I have learned we've been really deeply researching various organized play programs. Like there's Adventurers League, and Goodman Games does their Road Crew, which is fantastic, and Pirate Borg has their Harbor Masters program, which is exceptional. And so we've been trying to take lessons from the best folks, and we want our organized play thing to support third-party Shadowdark. So it's not going to be like, you have to run official Shadowdark first-party material. It's going to be like, run what you like for Shadowdark and run it for the public. And if you do that, you're going to accumulate points. And points gets you cool stuff like swag, like exclusive prizes. I have all these ideas for super cool stuff I want to make that we're going to give to people as a thank you for fostering the community. And that's the big part. And it's going to be the main part, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds very similar to Road Crew.
Definitely. I think it's smart how they do it.
Yeah.
Because, like, Adventures League is a very involved thing. Like the D&D Adventures League is like, we have seasons where we're having like exclusive content written that follows a storyline. And we thought deeply about whether we could or wanted to do something like that. But Shadowdark's gameplay style is really meant to be, it's not something that I think would do well with like a guided storyline campaign arc. It just doesn't.
It's more episodic.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's very driven by character choice. So
the most successful organized play program in the history of the industry was RPGA Living City, right? Yeah. I mean, that carried conventions all over the country, and that was event by event. It wasn't, you weren't shoehorned into certain things, and right. In order for these kind of organized play programs to be relevant to conventions around the country, there has to be fresh content, and there has to be fresh content that they can contribute and that they can share with other conventions, that perhaps, somebody in Seattle can share their first run content with somebody in Atlanta, and vice versa, because regionally they're not in the same region. So, it's essentially multiple first runs for a regional area. And, without doing that, with just creating a certain amount of events, I mean, it's not quite as effective as it could be. So, we've got our hat in the ring this year with, we've got Pathfinder Society for realsies this time. We've got Wardens and Marches, where we're only the second convention running those events, and we're seeing what people are interested in, and based on our attendees and what people have submitted for games, we know organized play, Shadowdark, and organized play program is going to be very successful, because we have over 300 hours of Shadowdark on our schedule, and that's driven by the GMs that are fans of the game, and we couldn't be any further away from where you generated it from, and still be in the US, right? So
we're like opposite coasts.
Exactly. So I mean, I think that speaks volumes about the reach of Shadowdark, but sky's the limit with Shadow League, because there are so many people that don't get to play in a regular gaming group or a consistent gaming group, and that was the beauty of Living City back in the 90s, back when you were 12.
Ron froze.
We lost Ron for a moment. Kelsey, man, I have so many questions about different things, but one of them I was wondering, and it's possible that you've already done this and I've been missing it, but have you been doing any like official fiction for Shadowdark?
Oh, that's so funny you asked. Not a ton, like no prose fiction or anything, but it would be really fun to do that. I've occasionally written, there's like little vignettes in the Shadowdark core rules sometimes here and there, which are really minimal. And then actually, like I've written small pieces of fiction for the newsletter. Like there's a character called the Wandering Merchant, who's like a legendary character in the Shadowdark universe. And someone asked me to write a short story that was a day in the life of the Wandering Merchant and like share it. And I did do that, and it was super fun. But like, I'm not like an R.A. Salvatore, like, professional. So it would be very cool to see, like novelizations or short stories or something set in the world. That would be really awesome. We haven't done
Bob was an R.A. Salvatore until he became R.A. Salvatore. So,
right.
It seems like it's such one of the things, again, talking about the way you present it as very episodic world, it just feels like it would be a great place to have sort of a standalone stories. I mean, I'm almost thinking about like the old Thieves World novels.
Yes.
Things like that. You know, the short story collections, and just thinking something like that would be so awesome. And when you're talking about doing stuff internationally, and I don't know whether you're planning on doing localization or not, or just selling stuff in English, sometimes having things like short stories and everything is a great intro to people who want to get an eye on what the world, what the setting, what the game is like. And, you know, doing things like short stories could also, I think, help people get intro to it. One of the things I would love to see, and this is just me fantasizing about, is when I started reading the Shadowdark stuff, I immediately flashed back to the independent comics age of the 80s, where all these black and white comics were coming out and things like that. And Peter Sue did a series called The Adventurers, which was basically a black and white D&D comic without D&D mentioned. And it felt very, I think that if you ever get a chance to look it up, it felt very much Shadowdark in tone in a lot of ways, because it wasn't about grand sweeping heroes or Conan super heroic types. I mean, Conan's very gritty, but he's also he's a superhero. It was about, you know, adventurers just trying to survive and make their next buck and everything. And
I gotta check that out.
It makes me think a lot about Shadowdark. And would I love to see, you know, Shadowdark graphic novel or Shadowdark short stories, something like that.
That would
be cool.
It's been a long time since I wrote any published fiction, but, you know, I could totally see myself writing, you know, a short story set, you know, in the world, because it lends itself so much to that sort of style of storytelling.
Oh, well, if inspiration ever strikes, let me know.
Well, I'd like to see something from you or some of the authors who contributed, you know.
Oh, I would love it. I know there's some just phenomenal. There's a really strong like indie scene for even like sword and sorcery, which is having a resurgence, you know, and like Shadowdark has some adjacency to sword and sorcery. I wouldn't call it like classical sword and sorcery, but it's inspired by it. And so it'd be very cool. It would be really cool to get to do like collaborations with some of those indie writers who are just so good at creating these lovely short stories that are so full of vibes. I would love to do that.
So of all the classes that you've written, which one are you the most proud of?
Ooh, oh, that's such a good question, Jen. Oh, man. Oh, which am I most proud of? Huh. It can be, oh my gosh. I mean, I did write a spellcaster class for the witch in the first Cursed Scroll zine, and it has some slightly controversial design decisions, but I actually really enjoyed writing it because I think the spell list was so fun to write, and I think that the class was the most it most strongly captured a vibe out of the early classes that I wrote. I actually wrote that class before I was done writing Shadowdark, so it's cool. Fun. It was a supplement to the main game, but it was being written like alongside the main game. I really like that one. I think that one was exciting. I don't know. Do you have an opinion? Because I know you got to play Cursed Scroll 1 and you also were using 3. Did you have a class between them that you really liked?
Well, what we did is we kind of, just to get into the game, we randomized it. Oh. So I got what is it? It's the cleric equivalent.
Was it the seer from?
Yes. Oh. And at first I didn't like it because I was human and I'm like, that's so boring. But then when I realized what she could do and how many extra tokens I got, I'm like, yeah, I can do this. This is great.
Yes.
So,
I love it.
So yeah. I really enjoy playing her, and we've paused that game right now, but I want to go back to it because we're at a really crucial point, and I want to see what happens next.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. It's funny that you say that because there's so I have a Discord server and we have the kind of most diehard Shadowdark crowd is in there, and one of them, his screen name is Kiwi, and he is the living authority on Shadowdark rules. Like the authority. Like he's been at a con game and I've been running a game for him and had to ask him a rules question about Shadowdark. So but I say this because his most favorite class of all time is the Seer. And he's like, the guy knows the game practically better than I do. And he's like, Seer is my favorite class. So I think that one has a good energy to it.
Yeah, and it's nothing I would have picked myself. Like I would probably have picked a spellcaster, but I'm really glad that I randomized it and I got Seer because I found that I really enjoyed that class.
Good. Oh, it worked out. I'm so glad.
Yeah. Let's see. You've got a question about the roustabout.
Oh.
Why is it the roustabout?
Why is it called that, or why?
I'm trying to see the context of the question. Oh, yeah. maybe somebody. I think somebody said, well, the Ranger's the best class, and then I think Jordan from Elder Goblin Games says, or why is it the roustabout? So I think.
Oh, what's your favorite class?
I think he's a fan of the roustabout.
I love that the whole framing of it, like when someone's like, "What is your favorite food and why is it pizza?" Like with the joke there. But the roustabout is hilarious because that class, I like Michael, who I mentioned earlier, the assistant librarian. That class was his idea, and so he pitched it and kind of presented the original design, and then we designed it together and kind of worked on it. And it was originally an April Fool's Day joke, but then it was immediately like completely absorbed by the Shadowdark community. They like loved it, and they were like, "This has to be made official." And it's a class for when you don't roll good enough stats to keep the character, because typically there are rules in Shadowdark where if your stats aren't up to a certain threshold, you can optionally reroll your character. But then the joke was like, well, what happens to all those guys that didn't make the cut? And so that was the class was made for that kind of character. And it's just very fun to play one and see how long you can survive as a roustabout.
Yeah. I always, my friends and I, sometimes when we were playing first edition back in the day, would challenge ourselves by we would roll straight for our stats. And take them, and then we would force ourselves to multi-class randomly.
Oh.
So when you would go up, you would have to roll like a D12 or whatever, how many classes you were considering the pool, and whatever you rolled, you had to multi-class into that next class every level, just to see what would happen in the game.
What kind of crazy
crazy like amalgamation you would end up with, and how challenging it would be to play. So there was a lot of. Do you
remember like any of the combos that you got?
It was like we never went past like third or fourth level because it just got too nuts. But you'd have like a bard, cleric, barbarian, wizard. Like.
Nice.
Yeah, it's nuts, but.
I love that.
Yeah, my friends used to roll, and instead of re-rolling, if they got like 3s and 4s, they would keep them, and then they would play with those traits even though they were very, very low. Like we had a wizard with 1 hit point.
Yes.
It was great.
It's so fun. I think it's so fun to play characters that have like a very outlier sort of concern, like the 1 hit point or like the 3 constitution or whatever. I think it can be really fun to see like how can you survive with this character.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a few other questions, and we're going to try to get to all of these folks. So we're just going to start firing them off at Kelsey. All right. How do you think Conan would do in the Western Reaches?
Ooh, I think he'd do great. I think he would explore around and take all the treasure and then carouse it away and then have to do some more of that. And probably would eventually take over one of the city-states and become its king at a high level.
Nice. Are there any plans for fiction submissions for Cursed Scroll? Could even be flash fiction length.
Ooh, maybe. You know, I hadn't thought of it, honestly. I mean, Ed definitely got me thinking about fiction. So if we had room in the layout, the layouts for them are very constrained and they have to be exactly 68 pages because of printing reasons. And if we had room, that could be really cool. I love fiction. I'd love to see some in some Shadowdark stuff.
That question came from Anthony Simeone, who's leading the Down the Dark Stairwell team.
Oh, nice.
He's the continuity GM there. So cool. Another question from, I'm not even going to try to pronounce this person's name, screen name. Are you planning on making more beginner dungeons similar to Lost Citadel of the Scarlet Minotaur?
Yes. I want to make another one for the Western Reaches release. I have future plans. I don't want to, there's such future plans that I don't know if I want to say it because then it'll be sort of, tough. But yes, to answer your question, indeed, I think we need a few more intro adventures. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Kelsey, I promised you I wasn't going to keep you on here all night. And if
I could stay a minute. Yeah.
You could stay a minute. Okay.
Yeah, I got a little time. Don't worry.
There was a question. What is your favorite all-time module that you have played or ran?
Oh, well, this would be Caverns of Thracia. Right. Well, it was a Janelle Jacques, rest in peace. Still crushed over that and her wife. Like legends that could never be topped, some just incredibly cool people. And Caverns of Thracia, I could go on and on and on about how much I love it. I think it's incredible that Janelle wrote it when she was like 19 or 20 years old. It stands as one of the best sort of realistic ecology, if you could call it that, dungeons. First 3D dungeon, incredibly cool themes, fantastic encounters. It's one everybody should study if they like dungeon design.
Right. Let's see. We've got some other comments here. Oh, we've got Navy Montel in the chat, the self-proclaimed Blurdicorn, which he's a lot of fun and a lot of energy. Can't wait to see him at Page. Any future Curse Scroll supplement ideas you are considering?
Oh, well, right now I don't have anything super concrete, but one thing that we touched on that I ended up, I almost wrote some information about like planes of existence for Shadowdark in the Western Reaches, but it ended up kind of getting cut because it just wasn't directly relevant to the Western Reaches. It was a little too out there. But it might be cool to write a zine about specific planes of existence, which in the Shadowdark world, in my opinion, isn't really a sort of classic. It's not really like the cosmic wheel type thing. It's just way more chaotic and unconfinable, I think. So it'd be fun. We were talking about in the Discord server, maybe developing one for the realm of the dead, which I think would be cool.
That all sounds fantastically interesting, and sign me up and take my money.
Well, now I have confidence in the idea, so yeah.
Yeah.
I think you should make a plane of light.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be such a fun idea because it's so not what people would expect from me,
Mm-hmm.
So well, the people there, the light is so bright that it's blinding.
That would be such a reversal. It's like this. I love that.
Yeah.
It's the same problem as the darkness ultimately. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love the fact that there's no like, what do you call it?
Like dark vision.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
So there's no dark vision. And so it's great because I'm working on blind dungeons. So all of the people are going to be either blindfolded or they're just not going to be able to see in the dark. and they can't use dark vision, so Shadowdark's the perfect place to set it in, you know?
I love it. Just be like, no torches, equalized playing field. Everybody is not able to see what's going on right now.
Yep. You gotta use your senses.
Definitely. That's awesome. There was, you know what's great? There was a short story that was a Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser short story. If you guys have I mean, I know Ed knows that. But they're like sword and sorcery classic fiction. And there was this one story where Fafhrd got into this like catacomb beneath the Thieves Guild. And it was like there was no light, and the whole thing was him trying to navigate it blind, and he knocked himself out like 3 separate times on a wall. But it was such a great story, and it was such a good example of the challenges of navigating in total darkness. And I don't know, I think that's such a great one. Everyone should check that short story out. Forget what it was called though.
Oh, all right. We'll try to get that from you. Now we're gonna have 5 more questions here.
Okay.
Do you have anything planned for the underwater world of the Western Reaches? That's from Troy Allman from Cannonball Publishing.
Oh, I don't. That's something very, very unexplored in my imaginings right now. So nothing planned. No.
I suspect
maybe you should write it.
I suspect that Troy may already be working on that.
Ooh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Let's see. What do we have here? What is your favorite Western Reachers NPC or figure?
Oh, wow. That's such a great question. I have been getting to, I did just write some things about the lost deities, which is a big mystery in the main Shadowdark core rules. And I try not to totally undo the mystery per se, but I offer some ideas of who or what they could be. So that was fun to work on. They're kind of mega NPCs. And I also get to write a lot about the first vampire, who's in Curse Scroll 4 a lot, like the jungle setting. She's actually generally located in the jungle region of this setting. But a lot of lore connects back to her, weirdly. And so it's been very fun to write sort of her far-flung lore that I think the diehards might recognize and put together. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
What's your favorite Western Reaches NPC?
That guy. Yeah. Probably those ones. Yeah.
Okay. We've got Kelsey. What excites you when you get an opportunity to write for a third-party Shadowdark game, such as what you're going to do for Dark Space?
Oh, well, I always am so appreciative, and like Fan and Derek are the best. And what they let me do was they gave me pretty free reign, and I just came up with a bunch of ideas that I liked that I pitched them. And I was like, here's a monster idea, here's one. And they got to all be very different. So I wasn't kind of shoehorned into doing like something that I wasn't excited about. They let me come up with what I was excited about. And then I was like, here's the ideas. What would you guys like? So that was really cool. I think that's a really great way to get to work with people, because you get a blend of making them happy, but then also getting to pitch what you're excited to do. Mm-hmm.
All right. And the 5th question, have you made an NPC based on a PC from your home game?
Oh, yes. Several. Some of them are only known to me at the end of the day, but one of my characters appears in the story in the Shadowdark core rules a lot. The Brack, the Goblin Wizard. He has like artifacts named after him, and I've actually made NPCs based on the people who I know in person. Like my lawyer, actually, Greg the lawyer, who helped me through the OGL crisis and then has become like the Arcane Library's house lawyer. Him and his benchmate Laura, they're both NPCs in the City of Masks. Like I made them into these sort of Easter egg NPCs, which was hilariously fun. And Greg was so geeked about it, which was so sweet. And Laura was like, I know nothing about this game, but I still love it. She's like not a gamer, but she's super excited about Shadowdark as a whole. So she's like, I don't understand what's happening, but I'm really excited.
All right. Well, Kelsey, we appreciate everything you've done for Paige and everything you continue to do. I know you've got some surprises for us at Paige. You're going to have something neat for our charity auction and all that stuff. But we know you have, we also know you have work you have to get done to on the current projects you're working on, and that your time's valuable. So thanks for joining us tonight. Do you want to leave everybody with something?
Yeah, well, thanks you all. First of all, thank you guys for organizing such a fun con with so many cool people who are coming. Like the guests and the attendees are just so wonderful. And I'm very honored to get to have such a presence at the con. So thank you. And thanks to everyone for joining us on this chat. You guys asked great questions. You let me gab about myself like crazy. That was so kind of you. I felt so special. So thank you.
Well, listen,
and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and we appreciate you very much. And I said something to you privately a few weeks ago on the phone, and I'll say it publicly now. Part of your success is that people like you and they want you to succeed. You're easy to root for, and you're easy to want to see succeed. And that.
Oh, Ron got cut out.
Cut out right at the end.
But I got the gist, and that was really
got
sweet.
The gist. Yeah.
That was really sweet of him to say. That means a lot. Thank you. It's just like being accepted by the gaming community and so welcome is like, I mean, that's all I could ask for. It's what I love. So it's so cool. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And he's right. You're a very genuine person.
You're definitely earning it.
Well, I definitely appreciate Shadowdark. It's one of my favorite systems.
Thank you, Jen. Thanks for playing it. And you guys, all of you, thank you. Like, it's so crazy. Like with Ed, I just can't believe like someone who was the creative director of the game that taught me D&D most is like, now I get to sit here and hang out with you and we get to talk about this stuff. It's just wild.
Well, I hope to hang out more at Paige, and it was so great getting to see you at Game Hall and meet some of your family even, you know.
Yeah, so, they were there. It was fun.
All right. Well, have a great night, and look forward to the shortest day of the year soon, where we can all play Shadowdark through the darkness.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it. Oh, Ron, I just want to say thank you too. I'm glad, despite the tech issues, I'm glad that you've been able to.
It's freezing. It's freezing cold here, and I'm really in a rural area, and sometimes the wireless isn't as great as it could be. But thanks for coming out. Really appreciate it, and we will see you in a month.
All right, I'm ready. I'm looking forward to it. I'll see you guys in person really soon.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care.
All right. Boy, this is a rough night with the internet. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, it's just sometimes it just doesn't go your way.
It happens though. It happens.
Right. Yeah, it happened to me a couple of weeks ago with my headset. So, but yeah. So,
I have a couple things I want to run through real quick before I lose more time here. One. The Kickstarter for Tomb of the Ancient War King launches next Tuesday. And, we appreciate all the interest and support that you've given Chet and Jen and I on this. And we're going to have a little launch party at 10 a.m. on Tuesday. A live launch party, and people like Frank Mentzer are going to be there, and Alan Hammock and some others that have reviewed the adventure already. The miniature painter Stephen Reeder, who painted the miniatures we're going to be offering as one of the tiers in the Kickstarter, is going to be there. You see here, we're going to have an illustration book for every area. In the background here, I don't want to give too much away, but we have an 11 by 17 isometric map, which is going to be one of the tier levels. There's also going to be 28 millimeter dungeon tiles by area. So basically, when your party enters the next room, you just lay it down and you can go. And they're all options, but we appreciate all the support, and we're looking forward to launching on Tuesday, and hopefully we're going to be pretty successful there. Phil, what are we up to registration wise?
Oh, let me take a quick look and I can answer your question because it keeps going up and up and up, which is exactly what we want it to do. So right now we are standing at 1685.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yep. And it's, you can definitely, I don't know if it's the holiday season or what, but page badge sales have been pretty brisk. You can, a lot of organic single day badges coming in. So, you've got a lot of folks that are, well, I can only commit to one day, and that's fine too. They can join in the fun. And that's what you expect about this far out from the con. So there's a lot of people that are getting their eyeballs on the website, and they're grabbing merch too, which is great, and that's what we want. And folks, if you're still out in the chat there, we had a great special guest this evening. If you're still hanging out in the chat and you've got any friends or family members or gamers in your life, you want to get them something nice, get them a page badge, surprise them, make them happy, and have them join us, because we would love to have them. To piggyback on that just a little bit, I said this last week, I'll say it again. The quality of events that still have seats available, limited seats available, is quite high. You will find events in this event schedule right now that it's a little surprising that they haven't been sold out due to the fact of what the system is, perhaps, or who the game master is running those events. And we're talking about special guest games that still have seats and things like that. So if you got some extra time, go through that sucker like with a fine-tooth comb. You are going to find treasure.
Mm-hmm. Hey, we've had a lot of new viewers the last 3-4 weeks. I just want to remind everybody who tuned in tonight, who doesn't normally tune in, do us a favor. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. This is pretty much the content minus the internet troubles for me that you get every week. Every week it's a different creator. Granted, they may be older and less appealing to talk to than Kelsey is, but it's still a lot of insight into the gaming industry, and we would really appreciate that support. We've talked about this a couple times now. We have a little sister convention we're starting to launch. It's going to be a little different than Page. It's not going to be as big. We're not going to be dragging special guests in from all over the country like we do for Page.
So how is it different, Ron? Can you explain?
I think you just dropped. I can probably hop in here a little bit and maybe flesh it out. First of all, it's going to be in New Jersey, not Pennsylvania. That's the first. It's going to be in Vineland, New Jersey, and in a convention center, but it's going to be much smaller. You can see the dates there on the shared screen, May 29th to the 31st. And we will be having, we're going to have some special guests there, but we're also going to be running high quality games. There'll be vendors as well. But it'll definitely be smaller. But you do want to check it out. The weather will be warmer. And we're only 10 minutes away from Ron's house at the convention center.
Not far from the beach.
Not far from the beach either. Yeah. So if you want to get
and there may or may not be some special games being run over at my game room that weekend as well.
Yeah.
Because it's so close.
Yes.
So, with that being said, before I put my hand through the computer screen and crush a modem, I think we're going to call it a night, folks. We appreciate you all being with us. We appreciate Kelsey's time, and we'll see you next week when hopefully the internet isn't on the fritz.
Yep, folks. Thanks for joining us, and have a great night.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Jersey Devil, Ron.